This, ladies and gentlemen, is football.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Total A-Leagues. I'm Vince Rugari, joined as always by Tommy Orr. Tommy, how are you?
Great to be back.
Great to have you back, mate. Another weekend of A-League in the books, some interesting games, a lot to talk about. We're going to get to Melbourne victory. Daniel Arzani's back in form. Bruno Fornaroli is back, which is interesting. John Aloisi on the other side of Melbourne is blowing up. We'll get to that. We'll get to Thomas Waddingham as well. Scored another goal. But first we'll go to New Zealand, Tommy, and a bit of history, actually. Our first ever guest on this program, believe it or not.
That's right.
First of many, hopefully. But we're joined by Auckland FC's Louis Verstraete. Louis, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
Good, thanks. And it's important to note, I think, Louis, you're not driving. Another member of Auckland FC's team is, but you're not driving. That's good.
Okay. I have a driver for me, a teammate who shall remain nameless.
Very good. Louis, it's been a fantastic start for you, mate, at Auckland FC. I don't know when you spoke to Steve Corica and the people at the club about what to expect, but you signed for a club that didn't exist, and I'm not sure what you knew, if anything, about New Zealand football or the A-League, but I'd imagine your expectations, you must have surpassed them, I guess, from this first 5 games. You guys have been amazing.
Yeah, but let's say from the moment I got there, I knew that we had quality in the team. So I thought beforehand that we were going to do pretty well, but I didn't imagine that we were going to do this good. So it's been great so far.
Obviously, on a personal note, you've had a fantastic start to the season. I think you've been probably one of the standout midfielders in the comp so far. Obviously, looking back in your career and your time in Belgium, obviously a Belgian youth international as well, has there been anything about the A-League that surprised you in terms of the football, whether it's tactically or was it the physicality of the league? What's been your thoughts so far?
I think because I didn't know the league beforehand, I was surprised that the level is higher than I expected, I must say. And especially the individual players are really good with the ball. So I think this is a difference like in Belgium.
Yeah.
Maybe in Belgium it's a bit more organized, let's say. But on the ball, I think on average the players in the A-League are better than in Belgium, I think.
Yeah, right.
On average.
So has there been any standout teammates that you think maybe aren't getting the recognition they deserve?
I think each of the players has been doing amazingly well. So I can't single one player out. I think from back to from the goalkeeper to the striker, everyone is doing great, and this is our strength. I think our team is not built on like stars, let's say.
Yeah,
it's more the team and the strength of our team that makes a difference.
Yeah, I hear Dan Hall's an amazing driver. But that's just an unconfirmed rumour at this stage. I have not seen any proof of that just yet.
But Dan is the best.
We'll wait. Maybe he's okay. Louis, just wanted to know a little bit, I guess, you don't have much to compare it to. Of course, you never played in New Zealand before this season, but it looks like football in New Zealand is having a bit of a moment. Like it's growing, you know, the Auckland's had some fantastic crowds and Wellington's playing good football, good crowds as well. And the national team, it looks like they'll be at the next World Cup. Do you feel, I guess, a bit of that sensation that must be happening at the moment in New Zealand?
Yeah, I think so. I wasn't here before, so I can't really compare, but I hear from everyone that football is getting more and more popular here. And yeah, if you see the crowds that come to our games, I have a feeling that the football is getting bigger and bigger in New Zealand. Yeah, I think so.
So I've got another question for you. Obviously, you've a lot of A-League fans, or every A-League fan knows Steve Corica quite well from his time at Sydney FC, but what's been your first impression of working with him as a manager? Because obviously it's been such a positive start, but he has huge compliments from everybody that's ever worked with him.
Yeah, I must say he's a really good coach, and even though like last week not the weekend but the week before against Macarthur, we didn't play our best game, but we won, and then he's not happy. He was not happy with us, even though we won. So that, I think, that speaks of what he wants, what he's trying to build with our team. He's high demanding, but I think he's gonna get the best out of each player. That I think he's doing and he will do in the future.
Louis, what about the derby this weekend? First of all, how much did you enjoy the first one a few weeks back in Wellington, and how nice to have this one at home with a massive crowd behind you guys?
Yeah, I've heard it's sold out, so that's going to be amazing. The game we had in Wellington, it was also a good day. I'm really looking forward to this weekend. I feel in the team, everybody is really excited to play the game, so we'll be ready.
Excellent. And we'll be watching, mate. Thanks for joining us. We'll leave it there. Hopefully you get home in one piece. To be confirmed.
Yeah.
No, good. Thanks,
Appreciate
Louis.
your time.
Appreciate it. Good luck for the weekend.
Yes. See you. Bye-bye.
There you go, Tommy.
What a game this is going to be.
Yeah, I'm pretty pumped. Speaking of the sold-out crowd, something I saw earlier on the site formerly known as Twitter. They're going to have, they've opened up more capacity at Mount Smart Stadium for this. So
Right.
at the northern end, they've found more room. So the capacity for this weekend is going to be 26,253.
Right.
And this is interesting. The New Zealand regular season record held by the Wellington Phoenix is 26,252.
Ooh.
So I'm not sure how much you can therefore believe attendance figures on this, because it's a bit of, but it's just one-upmanship that's happening between
and
these two football clubs at the moment, which is pretty cool.
And it's like controlling the whole narrative. We saw after the last derby, all the banter that was coming from the Auckland side, and I think it's only kind of making this derby grow and mature. And I mean, I'm really looking forward to this one even more than the last one a few weeks ago, which I think a lot of people probably wouldn't have expected. So, and it's also a very important game from a footballing sense, because both teams are flying so far this season, and it already feels like it's a really important game in terms of points.
Definitely. Wellington have, I think, had to buy, so they're coming off the buy, so they've had an extended period where, I don't know, you'd imagine Chiefy's sitting them down. They've been looking at a lot of video from not only this game, but also Auckland's, recent games.
Yeah.
What are you expecting that's different from Wellington?
I think Wellington will go into this game much more confident than they did the last derby, because if you look at Wellington's performances, obviously beating the likes of Melbourne Victory a couple of weeks ago, they're much improved, and the likes of Ishiga as well. I think he's really found his feet. So I think that they'll go into this game full of confidence, and I think they will get their chances. We saw in the last derby there was 2 moments where they probably didn't capitalise on, and they ended up getting sucker punched at the other end. I think taking their chances in this game is going to be very important, but with Costa Barbarouses in such good form, there's no reason they can't do that.
That's right. No, super pumped about that game. Looking forward to it. 3 p.m. Saturday. I will be on the couch. Distractions gone. I want this football. Plug it in. Let's move on to Daniel Arzani, Tommy, who I really enjoyed watching him play the other day. I mean, it's been like 6-7 years, I think, since the 2018 World Cup, when that period beforehand where he was just absolutely dazzling for Melbourne City. Like, it was everyone in Australian football was talking about him.
Yeah.
He's 25 now. A lot of things have happened between then and now, but I don't know. Did you think this was one of his better games since his A-League return?
Well, I think last year as well we saw glimpses and how good he can be, and I think everybody knows how good Daniel Arzani is on his day. And I think the thing is, it's not only about how good you are on your day; it's about how often you are at your best. I think that's the big question with Daniel Arzani. It's always not been a question of how good he is; it's been a question of consistency. And I think that obviously in the start of this season he was struggling to get into the team, and since he's had his opportunities, he's really taken them with both hands. And I think that for him, this needs to only be the beginning, and if he has aspirations to get back overseas or to get back into Socceroos, which he's more than capable of doing, I think he needs to use this last few weeks as a platform to kick on.
Realistically, if he had his day more often than he does here, he wouldn't be here, right?
Well, that's right. I think his ceiling is still so high, and I still think that he can have so many good years ahead of him. And I think that if you're Daniel Arzani, I think a good kind of template or a good motivation for him should be looking at the likes of Aaron Mooy and how he used the A-League to kind of re-kickstart his career.
At a similar age too, if I'm not mistaken.
Exactly, and but if you look at that season that Aaron Mooy had before he went back overseas, I think he ended up with 11 goals and 9 assists. So that's the kind of return that he should be trying to achieve, and I think that in this Melbourne Victory team, there's no reason he can't do that.
That's it. Let's hear a little bit now from Daniel Arzani. Spoke post-match on the weekend to Jake Barkadash.
It's obviously hard when you're going in and out of the team, but I think the last 2 weeks getting a little bit of consistency and trying to adapt to the new style of play. It's very different. I'm playing kind of a different role, more inside, but I'm really enjoying it, and I'm loving it.
So a different role, Tommy. Obviously, Patrick Kisnorba hasn't done it for this reason, but the different role is handy if you're Daniel Arzani and looking to get back into the Socceroos, where Popper is setting up a system where there's no wingers as such. They're inverted roles, and that's what he was doing on the weekend, really. It might fit in really nicely there. Exactly,
and obviously, playing with a brother of the Socceroos left back as well, potentially, so a bit of maybe family synergy there, I don't know. But no, I think that it does suit, this role suits him. I think there's a lot of freedom in that front third from a Melbourne Victory perspective, and I think that, with a player like him, I feel like sometimes they can feel bogged down, if they stay out wide, they're relying a lot on service, whereas now he has the opportunity to go and find the ball. And if you're a Melbourne Victory, you just want players like him on the ball as much as possible, and I think he can really grow into that role.
He's putting in a fair bit as well in defence as well, I've noticed as well, more than, I guess he used to get accused basically of not doing that at all, and that was one of the things he had to work on. And obviously, I think he spent a period of time under Popper at Victory, not starting and then broke his way in, and same things happened here with PK. So I don't know. Do you think he's added those sort of things to his game since he got back?
Well, I think that since he joined Melbourne Victory, obviously having Popper and then Patrick Kisnorbo, like if players aren't willing to put in the hard work, they simply won't play and they won't make exceptions. And I think that, you're exactly right, because I think early in his career that was a lot of the criticisms was coming from his work ethic without the ball. And, these days in modern football, you can't really afford to carry luxury players. And I think he has learnt that and he seemingly has addressed that. So long may it continue.
So one of his teammates, Tommy, Bruno Fornaroli, we've spoken a lot about him on this program so far already. Had his first substantial minutes for Melbourne Victory since the opening round. Weekend just gone. He did play 4 minutes off the bench against Wellington. But this was a decent run, 23 minutes, and lo and behold, basically as soon as he comes on, he scores a goal. Not just scores a goal.
What a goal.
For me, good goal as well. I'm loving the celebration here, man. I was sitting there watching this game also doing the same thing, basically.
Well, we saw a few weeks ago when he was in the stands and, looked like someone asked him why he wasn't playing.
Similar expression.
He did that expression. So I think that, might have been referencing that as well.
He's given it a few times as well. He wanted the cameras to see it.
I mean, I don't mind it because, to be honest, it's what we're all thinking. I think for the last month, we've all been wondering where he is, and obviously he got this opportunity in this game, took it with both hands with a fantastic goal, and hopefully this can be the start of him getting more and more minutes because, you want players like it. As a fan, I want to watch Bruno Fornaroli play.
Yeah. Well, let's hear a little bit about from Patrick Kisnorbo, as to I guess some of the issues he's finding in this team, Tommy, with getting everyone in, starting everyone and keeping everyone happy. Bruno, obviously one of the more notable players in that regard.
I've got to pick the best squad that I think is ready to compete in the game, and that's my job. It could be Bruno one week, it could be Roddy the next week. That's my job. And when there's competition for spots, it's competition for spots. So, with Nish being injured, it allows a chance for Bruno and other players. And again, we brought him on, and he scored a great goal. But I'm more happy about the run, which was great. But again, his attitude's been great in training, but it doesn't guarantee anything. It doesn't guarantee anything. All it guarantees is, we need to work to keep improving, because again, we have competition for spots in this club.
Yeah, obviously, competition for places is always healthy, but I think that a lot of managers in the league would be crying out for a number 9 that's capable of kind of getting 15 or 20 goals a season. So they've got one and, probably hasn't played as much as everybody expected so far. And I mean, what are your thoughts on terms of has he done more than the players he's competing with to deserve to play?
I think so. Look, and Nikos Virgos has obviously signed another striker this off-season. But for me, I would be looking at it more like Bruno's got the runs on the board and he's not, from what I've seen, and I look at games differently to coaches do, no doubt, but I haven't seen any reason why he should have been dropped in the first place. Golden boot or close to it last season, right? So it's his spot to lose, in my opinion. So I'd be looking for Nikos Virgos to be doing more to dislodge him, and I actually haven't seen that yet. He's been all right, but he hasn't been so amazing that Bruno is not only on the bench but sometimes out of the squad. Like, there's more to it.
Yeah, and I think that he's shown with Arzani and Fornaroli, he's almost holding them to a different standard than he is the other players in the team. And there could be more to it in terms of that. Maybe that's a motivational tactic or something like that. But from a results perspective, I think that they're more likely to win games when those two players play. So as a neutral fan watching, I think that the more those two are involved, the better Melbourne Victory will be this season.
Well, what about the blokes he's got to try and get into that front line as well? Because it's pretty amazing. Like, we rattled on about Sydney FC and how good their depth is. Melbourne's, I don't have them above Sydney FC in this department, but close too. You got Bruno, Piscopo, Arzani, Velupile, Virgos, Reese, and Santos.
Yeah. Santos,
I don't know yet. It's early days.
I think he's probably got the least runs on the board so far. But that's the thing. It's a luxury of options. And, the other thing is as well, the way that Patrick Kisnorbo plays, those front positions, there is a huge physical toll because of the way he presses, that he wants the team to press. I think that it's probably a likely situation. We used to see Ange Postecoglou do this a lot, that he'll start to make changes at 60 minutes every game, and there won't be any kind of drop-off in quality of the players. And for him to have that luxury is incredible. And I think it holds them in really good stead. But at the same time, players want to play, and these are competitive players, some of the best players in the league, and I think he's going to have a difficult time kind of managing that potentially.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Tommy, let's go north. Thomas Waddingham, the Great Barrier Chief, has scored again. Tommy, how old were you when you first copped the next Harry Kewell? Do you remember?
Yeah, I think I made my debut for Brisbane at 16, but it was when I was 17 when I started to play regularly, that kind of happened and got into the Socceroos. So yeah, it was 17, 18, around that age.
Because he's 19, I think last season he copped a little bit of next mark for Duca, and that can't be easy. Like, when you're slapped with something like that, and even if you know you're good.
Well, it's not helpful. I mean, to be honest. I mean, but at the same time,
it's part of football, though, right?
It is.
How can you regulate that? How can you stop fans from being excited about a kid like this?
No, I mean, it's not helpful, but at the same time, I think, and his performances since getting tagged the next mark for Duca haven't dropped at all. So I don't think he's taken too much notice of it, or it hasn't affected him negatively, at least. So, I mean, I think that sometimes it can be a distraction, but with him, he's gone from strength to strength, and I think he's a huge asset for Brisbane. And in a team that hasn't particularly performed that well, for him to be scoring goals and to constantly look like a threat, I think he's been one of their bright spots for sure so far this season.
Definitely. So he's got 10 goals now from 28 appearances in the A-League men. So that's second younger. It's the second biggest haul for a player 20 years or below.
Right.
Number one is Nestria and Kunda.
Right.
So he's in sort of like high level category in terms of young goal scorers in the league, which is good. He's got 14 and 34 in all competitions since he debuted for Brisbane Roar, which is pretty good. That's close to a goal a game. And a goal every other game.
Yeah.
Which is what you look for a striker.
And when you look as well, the goals he does score, he scores different types of goals. He loves to be on the shoulder and running behind. He's also there in the box, scoring the unglamorous goals like we saw on the weekend against Macarthur, where he was there to pick up the scraps. And for a striker, that's important. And for him to be doing that at already such a young age is very encouraging, because even the likes of Jane McLaren, the highest goal scorer in A-League history, he was always loved to run in behind and was really dangerous making those runs. But it took him a little bit of time at Brisbane Roar with John Aloisi to kind of develop that ability to be a poacher in the box. And for him to already have that kind of ability so young is definitely encouraging.
And I think the fact that he hasn't collapsed under the building hype is a really good sign as well.
Absolutely.
Across the league, we've got for the first time in a while, it feels like there's some young Aussies who are playing in the 9 position. Like, usually it's filled by foreigners. This season we got him. We've got Noah Botic, we've got Luke Jovanovic, Mehdi Mehmedi, Archie Goodwin, a few others coming through as well. The interesting thing is, Tommy, we were talking about this before, you go through a Socceroos depth chart of striker and you get through probably Duke, Yengi, Mo Toure, and then you hit a Taggart, then you're probably bypassing, with all due respect, all the boys who are based in India because they just don't seem to be on the radar for the national team, whatever. You pretty quickly hit these blokes, don't you? And you pretty quickly get into a Waddingham. So if there happened to be like a not even silly injury crisis, just a couple of injuries, he might find himself in a squad.
I completely agree, because if you look at the A-League and the number 9s we've produced, since Jane McLaren, Adam Taggart, Mitch Duke, who are all in their 30s now, there's kind of a bit of a gap there for 5 or 6 years after. We didn't develop too many number 9s in that period. A lot of A-League marquees were probably number 9s. They weren't getting, local kids weren't getting the chance.
Well, what we did was we just turned them into Aussies. Like
exactly. Jason Cummins as well. So, I mean, it's so encouraging to have, so many promising ones breaking through. I still think it's premature to have any serious chat about Socceroos with any of these players, but at the same time, they're doing all the right things so far. And if a couple of them can kick on, it'll be fantastic for the national team.
So you mentioned John Aloisi before. He was on the other end of this match we were talking about earlier with Bruno and Arzani. He wasn't happy afterwards as well, Tommy. You're like,
No.
You know him well. I know him pretty well as well from covering football up there as well. He's a nice guy, and we all thought the temper, sort of the majority of it in terms of the Aloisi genes went to Ross. But John's got a little bit in him here as well. His post-match blow-up, we'll listen to it now. Wasn't a happy man after Western United's defeat at all.
I'm disappointed because we can lose a game, but not like that. That's why I'm disappointed. Because we've shown the first 5 games of the season that I don't care who we put out there, we're matching it with everyone. That's why I'm disappointed. You can lose a game, but not like that. That wasn't good enough. I have to look at myself first. That wasn't good enough.
Will you make changes to make a statement, or
what changes do you want me to make? Seriously. We had a bad performance. I've said it. Done. We move forward. We're going to be better next week.
Very good. Ben Garuccio missing this game with injury.
Calf injury.
Yeah, so how long do you expect him to be out? Is it a long-term thing, or is it week to week?
I don't know. I just said I don't know.
Well, you haven't been. He's not out for 3 or 4 months, is what I'm trying to get at.
No, I'm not upset with the young kids. I'm more upset with our experienced players that should have helped their young kids more.
I mean, could you? Is this just sometimes this happens even amongst pros that they just switch off, have a bad day, I mean, could you see this coming? Was it just mental frailty?
You can have a bad day. You can play a bad game, but you can always run, and you can always fight.
Now, look, he's getting double lynched there, Tommy, by Joey and Michael. So he's probably not going to be happy with that as a starting point. But what else is cooking him there?
I think if he had his time again, he probably would react differently. After a loss like that, he's obviously very frustrated and was just on edge. But, obviously I worked with him. You'd mentioned that before. But he rarely reacted like this, but he definitely did. And when he did, it was always to try and gauge a reaction as well. And I think that he rarely got angry, but when he was angry, everybody stopped and took notice because it didn't happen very often, basically. But I think that some of his frustrations are also, I think that if you look at the bigger picture and look at Western United this season, I don't think, if you look at their squad, they don't have the quality that they had in previous seasons, being objective.
Is that what he's saying when he's going, what changes do you want me to make? It seems to me like he's hinting listen, this is who we are, this is what we got.
Exactly, and I think, the resources that they've probably put into the club in terms of signing new players this year probably hasn't been the same as previous seasons. And, when the likes of Angus Thurgate, who is a fantastic player, obviously, but was a little bit off on the weekend, when players like him don't lift to the occasion, it's going to be tough for them to get results. I think that's the bottom line. And in terms of selections, how much he can, change that fortune, I'm not sure, but he's definitely got some big questions on his hands.
They've been okay this season.
Yeah.
How do you feel about them, just generally speaking, this season, Western United? They don't have a squad that looks like title contenders, but they also don't. They seem really mid-table to me.
I think that he set them up to make them really difficult to beat, but having that extra quality that you just mentioned in terms of challenging for silverware, I think is going to be tough. I think if they can find a way to get into the six, that's a big success for them.
Yeah. All right, Tommy, extra time, 3 minutes. Let's rip through these last few topics. First of all, the Wanderers have been pretty hard on them in this show, but they got a big win on the weekend, which eases the pressure on Alan Stajic.
Yep.
Can Nick Milanovic, though, win the Golden Boot? He was really impressive in this game.
Yeah, I mean, obviously a huge relief for Stajic and, good performance from them. I'm sure they'll take a lot of confidence from that. So in terms of Milanovic, for a wide player to win the Golden Boot would be something. And I think this is a season he could do it.
Doesn't seem to be a dominant sort of goal machine striker in the comp this season.
There's no Jamie McLaren, Adam Taggart, Fornaroli. Normally there's one that will kind of run away with it. And I think that this could be the season that, a wide player or somebody unexpected wins it.
Well, another bloke unexpected, Anas Wahim. 4 goals and 3 assists in his last 1.5 matches for Sydney FC.
Yeah.
One of those in Asia as well. Are we sleeping on this guy? He seems to have something.
Technically in the first games you could see how good he was, but he wasn't making a tangible difference to the game in terms of goals and assists. But it feels like he's really turned a corner, and I think that he has such a high ceiling, and he's such a good age for them to get him. I think he's only 27. I think that was a fantastic bit of scouting from Sydney FC, and I think the best of him is yet to come.
It's an Alex Baumgartner special, that one. He's getting a few at the moment, Alex.
Yeah.
Tommy, subbing a sub. We had a good chat about this earlier. I think the only time really you can get away with subbing a sub, as David Zulic did here with Christian Caicedo, is when you've copped a red card and you're trying to stack the deck and sort of, not lose the game. What did you think about this? This to me,
as a player, if I was on the receiving end of this, I would also not be very happy. And I think that it shows a distinct lack of trust and almost a little bit of disrespect. And the coach can try and say it's a footballing decision and he didn't follow the instructions, but did he do anything in that 30 minutes to make him radically change his opinion? Because, the question for me isn't why he put him on and took him off. It's why he put him on to begin with. If he didn't trust him that much at all, then why put him on? But Driller would know the consequences of doing this, and I think that it can be a long way back for a player when you make a decision like that.
Totally. And I thought as well, what difference is it going to make to the last few minutes of the game that's going on? It seems to me like
it's a statement.
If a coach has got a change to make, the illusion of their change actually being able to make an impact on the match, it's not going to. Particularly
when you see the likes of Adam Taggart, who just played 90 minutes, remained on the pitch. So there was other attacking options to bring off. So I think it was definitely a statement to bring him off.
Yeah. Terry Antonis, Tommy, his goal last season for Melbourne City has been nominated for the Puskás Award.
Yeah.
I'd ask you, can he win it? But as I also mentioned to you earlier, I think any Australian's chances of winning the Puskás Award were kaput when Riley McGree did it
that's right.
years ago for his scorpion kick. That was the best.
Exactly.
This one, I don't know, man.
Phenomenal goal, of course, and vintage Terry Antonis. He's always had stuff like this in the locker, but I don't know if it's good enough to win that award. But
especially not a popular vote kind of award where people will vote for a Liverpool player or whoever if they're nominated for whatever reason.
I completely agree.
Anyway, last one here. Thomas Deng is leaving his Japanese side, Albirex Niigata, after a few years there. which A-League club should be chasing him, and I won't accept everyone as an answer.
Wanderers. I think he would solve a lot of their defensive issues, and I think that he can be a real season changer for them if they could get him.
Yeah. Good call. Cool. I would say Victory, but they can't fit him in.
Yeah.
A lot of teams can't fit him in. So that's if he wants to come home as well, by the way. He's got a
true.
good name in Japan. He might hang around there, but I hope to see him in the A-Leagues.
Of course. Yeah.
And I hope to see you next week.
Yep.
Don't know about you.
Yeah.
You're on baby watch, so we might not see you next week. But we'll definitely see you at home next week. Thanks for joining us. Take care. Enjoy the A-League.